Okay, we're going to start with the prerequisite levels for both the pre-quests and the RFD parts themselves. I'm just going to quickly run through each one and show you fast ways to get them.
I strongly recommend doing Gertrude's cat before you get all these levels in order for the kitten to grow into a cat and make the Evil Dave part so much easier.
So we're going to start off with mining, in which case we're just going to go power mine any copper or tin ore. It's really simple. We're then going to move on to 30 range, in which case cannoning is by far the best method from level 1 to 30. Just run over crabs while you've got aggro and reset when you don't. Feel free to use the dwarf cannon quest I've already made in order to get the cannon quickly. If you don't want to use the cannon method, try chickens 1 to 10, cows 10 to 20 and minotaurs 20 to 30 in the stronghold of security. So we're then going to move on to 5 fletching. Just use 20 logs with a knife in order to get 300 arrow shafts and use feathers on them, and you should get level 5 very quickly. So now 25 thieving. You should already be 14 thieving if you've done the fight arena quest shown below. If not, do 1 to 5 men, 5 to 20 cake stalls and 20 to 25 at silk stalls. 30 crafting. Start off from doing level 1 to 10 with the best leather item you can. Before moving on to bowstrings, you can either do this from level 10 to 30 or move on to the next jewellery piece like I did for slightly more XP an hour. So 10 fishing. Just do level 1 to 5 catching shrimp with a net, and then move on to baiting sardines from 5 to 10. Dead easy. So 41 cooking. If you've already started fishing, then use your simple fish to get you started. Then it's a case of buying the best fish you can and cooking them. 20 fire making, dead easy. Use normal logs 1 to 15 and oak logs 15 to 20. Job done. Hopefully by the time you've watched this, I've made a guide on all the pre-quests for Myth Gloves. Just click on it and it will take you straight there. I'm not going to do Cook's Assistant because it's so quick, I'm going to do it in this guide.
So we all know Recipe for Disaster requires a high amount of items in order to complete all the subparts. I can't stress enough how good buying a quest kit helps. It'll actually save you money in the long run because you could probably make more money in the time taken in order to get them all.
So I'm just going to tell you how to do Cook's Assistant with no video footage. Just bring a bucket of milk, pot flour and an egg and talk to him, and that's done. Then bring the remaining items and you should be able to start the RFD quest. So ask him for a new quest, tell him that you're not bothered and ask him what the problem is and offer your help. He should give you a list of ingredients you need. Just use the cocktail shaker using a lemon, pineapple and orange to make a fruit blast, bearing in mind you can't use a pre-made. Don't forget to slice the lemons like I did, and once you have the glass lemons and shaker in the invent, pour it and use the ashes and talk to the cook again. And that's it, quest done. Then you must go into the dining area in order to start the quest and you'll have a massive cutscene. I'm just going to stop it here, I'm going to carry on. So here are all the things we need for the second part of the RFD quest. You only need to do fishing contest and you don't need much mage gear and food because we only need to kill at level 13. So talk to the dwarf, the first guy on the table, and teleport to Camelot and run east to where you start the fishing contest quest. Go down the stairs and follow the path to the middle where you're going to talk to the old dwarf. He'll then tell you to get the rock cake recipe from the pub in Falador, so all you have to do is teleport to Falador at this point and talk to the barmaid. Don't forget your coins like I did and buy the recipe for 200 Jello points. Also don't forget to buy 4 ales from it if you haven't already, and then once you've got the recipe all you have to do is drop a coin into the 4 ales. Teleport to Camelot and go back underground and talk to Rohark, who is the old dwarf just renamed. Give him the 4 pints you've just made, and you need to pay him 100 GP and give him the milk, flour, egg and water, and he should drop a rock cake like that on the table. Don't forget to pick these up with your gloves. So teleport to Falador from there and bring your mage gear and a little bit of food because we need to kill a level 13 ice fiend on the ice mountain in order to cool down this hot rock cake. It's really easy to do and real quick. So teleport to Lumbridge back into the dining hall and use the rock cake on the dwarf, and there we go, dwarf part done. So the goblins part's actually quite quick and easy. Just don't forget you can't bring a red, yellow or orange die. Get the items and bring some teleports for quick movement. Talk to the goblins to begin with and teleport to Falador and use this path north in order to get to the goblin village. Once you're here, head straight down the ladder and talk to the goblin chef and ask him about his new way of cooking. He should then ask you for a charcoal in order to try his new way. Talk to him again to actually give him the charcoal and you'll be given a long annoying cutscene. I'm just going to cut that out for you.
So after the cutscene's over, talk to him and ask him for his help, and he'll tell you the fussy ways the goblin like their food. All you have to do is use the dye on the orange slices, the spice on the fishing bait, and the bucket of water on the bread. Give the goblin chef the ingredients again and he'll give you the slop of compromise, and it's as simple as teleporting to Lumbridge and giving the slop to the goblin. Job done. So Pirate Pete can upset a few people here because the fish cake you cook at the end to give to him can be burnt. So bring a few raw cod and also gather a few more extra ingredients just in case you burn along the way. Talk to Pirate Pete, and then before you teleport away, talk to the cook next door and go through each of the items apart from the very last one, which you can only do once you've got all the ingredients at the end. Everyone must be at least 15 fishing at this point by doing fishing contests, so you can teleport using the fishing trawler minigame teleport and talk to Murphy. Ask him about recipe for disaster and he should give you some diving apparatus in order to go underwater. Before you go, make sure your total weight's under 27 kilos. Use the bank box if you need to drop a few items in order to lose some weight. Don't do the mistake I did and make sure you have at least 8 inventory spaces available in order to pick the spare ingredients throughout the next part. So once you're down here, head straight to the kelp right in front of you and pick a couple up spare just in case you burn your fish cake, and then head north towards the crab pen. So talk to Nung outside the pen and he won't let you inside the pen in order to get the crab meat unless you do him a favour by killing 5 mud skippers and giving him their hides. So from here, head south towards the tunnel entrance and pick up the 5 rocks in order to weigh yourself down in order to go to the tunnel. These shouldn't be included as part of your inventory space, just note that. So get into the mud skipper pen and kill 5 mud skippers and get 5 hides. Please bear in mind that you'll have to tank these mud skippers, so make sure you have the combat stats in order to do so. From there, head straight back to Nung and give him the mud skipper hides you've just collected and the 3 bronze wire that you should have in your inventory, and he should finally let you in the cage, in which case just collect 3 crab meat just in order to be safe, and then you should be able to move on back to Lumbridge. So when you're back, make sure you use your pestle and mortar on all the ingredients, the crab meat, the kelp and the cod, apart from the bread, in which case you have to use the knife in order to chop them into breadcrumbs, and then it's time to make the fish cake. So just like I showed you at the start of the quest, talk to the chef and ask how to combine the ingredients, and you'll finally be allowed to combine them like I just showed, and use the raw fish cake on the cooking range. Hopefully at this point you haven't burnt your fish cake, but no need to panic if you have. If you have the ground ingredients and the breadcrumbs again, you can just recombine and make another fish cake and hopefully be more successful next time. So once you have the cooked fish cake, go back in and make sure you right click and not eat your fish cake and use it on Pirate Pete. And there we go, quest complete. Hopefully you've taken my advice at the start of the guide and made your kitten into a cat already, because it makes this part 10 times quicker. Don't forget to bring 10 stews also and teleports to go quickly. So inspect Evil Dave at the table and you'll be told to go to Edgeville to talk to his mother Doris. Glory there, go from the telly spot and talk to Doris. Say that you're not an evil friend and you'll be let down into the basement. Speak to Evil Dave and ask him what he ate at the meeting, and say that the magic requires him to tell you. You must go back upstairs and talk to Doris and ask about the recipe before you can come downstairs and start catching mice. So drop your cat in order to start chasing vermin, and it's time to use the method in order to find the correct spice. So there are 4 different spices that you have to obtain from these mice. Each of them are a different colour, and each of them have varying amount into the correct stew that Evil Dave drank at the meeting. So the method you want to use is to isolate each spice and increment it by 1 every time you attempt to give it to Evil Dave. As you can see in the video, I'm about to try and find out how much yellow spice is required. I'll start by adding just 1 dose to the spice and giving it to Evil Dave for him to try. I was quite lucky here in only to get 1 dose of yellow. He says that the amount of 1 spice is correct, and because I've only put 1 type of spice in, it must be the yellow one that's correct. So I'm going to make a note of that and use that in the final stew. So if you've already tried 1 and 2 is also incorrect, then it must be 3, because 3 is the maximum amount of spice you can have in a stew. There's no need to test the 3rd level of spice. So from here on out, it's just a case of repeating it for the different colour spices. Hopefully it won't take you too long to find enough of each of the spice, because god, I got so unlucky on the brown spice, it took fucking hours. Anyway,
2 hours later.
Once you've found the correct levels for each spice, use them all into 1 stew using the correct levels you've just figured out. Give it to Dave to test again, and then finally teleport to Lumbridge and give him it back at the table. Job done. God damn it, it's time for the annoying ogre quest, but thankfully it's the last part of this guide and then it's all ogre for us. Ha ha ha. Anyway, just grab all the items and then talk to SKRACH at the end of the table. You'll then be told to go to Rance, in which case use the Castle Wars teleport and use this path like you probably did for big chompy bird hunting. If you haven't already, use this opportunity to go past the swamp toads, blow a few up and catch a couple of extra chompies just in case you burn them later on in the quest. So after you've done that, head northeast from the swamp area and talk to Rance like you did for the start of big chompy bird hunting and ask him to help. He'll then point you to the southeast area where he is again by the tree. Once you reach him again, talk to him and tell him you've arrived, and he'll eventually knock that tree over next to the willow that you eventually have to make a boat out of. To do this, just use the axe twice in order to carve a boat. Once you've done that, speak to Rance again and tell him that the boat is ready, and he'll fire an arrow into the Karamja direction, in which case use a glory teleport and use this path in order to find the arrow that he has just fired. Once you're here, light a fire next to the tree, use the iron spit on the chompy to skewer the chompy, and use the skewered chompy on the fire to cook it. You'll eventually get the troll children coming over with the boat, and they'll offer you a lift back to the swamp and take the lift. Once you're back, gather 3 bloated toads and fill up your ogre bellows again. That's very important that you fill up your bellows again, don't forget that. Head northeast past Rance this time and mind the ordinary rock there. Don't forget your pickaxe like I did, that's why I just had to cut it. So go to Rance again by the water and ask him how to get a jubbly, and he'll tell you how to do it. Just use some filled bellows on an already bloated toad, and as long as you have the wool in your inventory and a rock, it will make the special toad in order to catch a jubbly. Drop it in the regular chompy spot and hopefully one will come very quickly. It's time to kill it and pluck it like you would any other regular chompy. So once you've done it and got the raw jubbly, you're nearly done. Head north to the spit roast like you did for the big chompy bird hunting quest. Cook it, hopefully you won't burn it, if not you're just going to have to use another bloated toad again. And give it back to SKRACH, and there we go, quest complete. Job done. So there we go chaps, MITH GLOVES unlocked. We've finally reached the goal we've all been waiting for. Hopefully the guide was useful to you and you can appreciate the amount of time and effort it took to condense it as much as I did and get all the effects like I did. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe and favourite the video. Alright then, cheers chaps, this is Eggvid signing out, and enjoy your MITH GLOVES. Peace.